Today, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 things not to do with your Instant Pot. Hi, I'm Karen Peterson. Thank you so much for joining me today. Every week here on YouTube, I share Instant Pot stuff with you. I hope you subscribe to my channel. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 things that I have found not to do with your Instant Pot. Let's get right into the tips. Number 1. When cooking in a pressure cooker, you want to use at least 1 to 2 cups of thin liquid to bring the pot to pressure. But if you're having thickeners in that liquid, like cornstarch or flour or something like that, a lot of times they'll burn to the bottom of your pot and you'll get a burn error message. So if you do want to thicken up a soup or a sauce, you can do that at the end after the food has pressure cooked. I like to use the cornstarch slurry, meaning I just mix equal parts water and cornstarch together, stir it together until smooth, and then add it into my pot. And then that will thicken up the sauce or the soup that I'm making. Number 2, don't underestimate how long you need to cook a recipe. This happens a lot. You'll see a recipe and the pressure cook time says 5 minutes and you're thinking, great, I can have this ready to go in 5 minutes. Okay, that is not the case. The Instant Pot, although it's called an Instant Pot, doesn't cook instantly. You need time for the pot to build pressure. And I always give myself about 10 minutes for the pot to reach pressure. Then the cooking time, the 5 minutes that we stated earlier. And then we get to the part of the recipe that says the release, like if it's natural pressure release or quick pressure release. And you have to consider that as well, because a natural pressure release can take a lot of time. The fuller your pot is, the longer it will take to naturally pressure release. Most of the times, I do not do a full natural pressure release. I do a combination between a quick release and a natural pressure release, meaning that I let the pot sit there for another 10 minutes after the pressure cooking time is up, and then release any remaining pressure that's in the pot. So when you see a recipe, consider the 3 things: the time that it takes to build the pressure, the time that it's actual pressure cooking, and the time that it will take to release any pressure in the pot. Number 3, don't forget your yogurt starter. I have made yogurt in my Instant Pot every week for the past 2 years, and there have been a handful of times that I've forgotten to add the yogurt starter in with the milk. I will link to my recipe on how to make yogurt. It's a very simple recipe, but it requires that you add 2 tablespoons of yogurt with the milk. And there have been a couple of times that I've actually forgotten to stir that in. And then when I go to look for my yogurt the next morning, it's still milk. Number 4, when you're reading a recipe and it says press the manual button and you don't have a manual button on your Instant Pot, don't fret. I have 2 models here of Instant Pot from, maybe 2 to 3 years ago, and they both have a button on the front panel here that says manual. And when I write my recipes, and I see a lot of other Instant Pot recipes written this way that says press the manual button and adjust the time to 20 minutes. And a lot of people are getting newer Instant Pots and theirs doesn't have a manual button, and they're saying, can I cook this recipe? The answer is yes, you definitely can cook that recipe. Don't worry. All you need to do is press the pressure cook button. It is the same as the manual button on these older models. Number 5, don't overfill your pot. Your pressure cooker liner should have a max fill line that's noted right here. Make sure that you never fill any liquid over that point. The reason, you need space for the pot to build pressure. If it's filled all the way up to the top, there's no way that the pot can boil and get to pressure when it's just so full. Now, let's say you're cooking rotisserie chicken or something and you have 1.5 cups of broth in the bottom, and then your chicken comes way up to the top and you can get the lid on, but it's kind of past that max fill line. Don't worry about that. The max fill line is for liquids, and so you just want to make sure that you do not fill past that max fill line for liquids. Number 6, don't disregard thickness. Thickness is a very important determinant in how long you're going to pressure cook. So if you have a thin chicken breast that has been sliced into a fillet, that's going to take a lot less time to cook than if you have a thick, big honkin' chicken breast. I will link in my notes below to specifically chicken breasts and how to know how long to cook them depending on how thick they are. This counsel also goes along with other foods such as potatoes. If you're cooking a very small little potato versus a big huge russet potato, that's going to take a lot of different time. So if you see a recipe that says, oh, I bake my potatoes for 10 minutes, and someone else says, well, I use 30 minutes, that's probably depending on how big those potatoes are. Number 7, don't get burned by the steam. The Instant Pot has a ton of safety mechanisms on it, and it is generally really safe. The one thing that I would caution you of is when you're moving this valve from sealing to venting, there is going to be an escape of steam, and you just want to quickly do that, move your hand out of the way so that you don't get burnt. Some people I know like to use like a spoon and just move it with the spoon so they don't even have to worry about their hand getting burned. I'm so used to doing it that it's not even a problem. I just use my hand. If you're new to it, you might be a little worried. Use a spoon, you're fine. Number 8, do not use the timer button to pressure cook. It is for a delay setting and not the pressure cooking setting. I'll show you exactly what I mean. On this Instant Pot, it's the Instant Pot Luxe, you're going to see a button that says delay start. You can use this if you want to start the pressure cooking process, but not just yet. Let's say you want to wait an hour until things start. So what you would do is, let's say you want to cook for 20 minutes. You'd go to manual, and then you'd adjust it down to 20. Then you would push delay start, and I want it in an hour to start. That's 1 hour. So it's going to click in and it's going to start, but it's going to start counting down from the hour. Once that hour's up, it will start cooking my food. On this Instant Pot, it's a little bit different. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say I want to cook this for 20 minutes. So I'll do manual, 20 minutes. And then instead of the button over here that says delay start, this one says timer. So I'm going to push timer, and I'm going to adjust it down to 1 hour because I want it to start cooking in 1 hour from now. Number 9, don't brown or saute your onions or sear your meats until the pot says hot. So what I like to do when cooking in the Instant Pot is sear things or saute things before I get started with the pressure cooking portion of the recipe. And so I'll put my pot onto the saute setting, but I wait until the pot heats up, and on the display it will say HOT, hot, and at that point I add in my oil and I saute the onions, or I add in my oil and I sear the meat. And the reason I do this is that there's not as much stickage when that happens. When you add your onions and your oil in immediately, just as the pot's heating up, there's going to be a lot more stickage that happens. But if you wait till it gets hot and then add in the oil, you should be fine. And number 10, don't keep your Instant Pot in the box. Get it out and use it. If you're nervous and you're still unsure of how to use it, watch my video of how to use an Instant Pot. It's just a basic beginner's starter guide. It will help you feel good enough to get started cooking today. And if you have it out of the box, but you've only used it once or twice for like eggs or rice or something, get it out and put it on your countertop and use it more. If it's on your counter, you're going to see it and you're going to be cued to use it more. And the more and more you use it, the more and more comfortable you're going to feel, and you will love your Instant Pot. I promise you. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week with more Instant Pot stuff here on YouTube.